Let's take a look at the Ozempic side effect that no one is talking about. So here we have Dr. Mark Hyman, who was on the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he went through a few side effects. So I thought this might be a good thing to react to, give my opinion, and see what the science is also saying at the same time.
Your thoughts on Ozempic? One, you have to take it forever.
So necessarily you don't have to take it forever in the sense that if you stop taking it, it's going to cause medical harm. But what he is saying, I think, is that if you do stop taking it, there has been a lot of studies showing that within 2 years, you do regain most of the weight that you've lost within 2 to 4 kilos. And that also applies to if you're using it for diabetes. Most of the diabetic control that you gained, you will then lose. And it starts as early as 2 months in.
2, it's expensive. 3,
so in terms of expense, that was a big thing that caused, and it's the biggest cause of why people actually stop taking the medication, not through side effects or any other complications. But in the UK, for example, the starting dose is, off the top of my head, around £180 for the 2.5 milligram of Mounjaro, going all the way up to £325 for the highest dose, whereas in America I think can be within the thousands of dollars, which was why we had to price hike within the UK.
Most of people are not aware that not only do you lose fat, but you lose muscle. So about 50% of the weight you lose is muscle.
So I don't think 50% is the actual true representation. From the studies that I've looked at, so one of them being the step 1, it was looking around 39 to 40% of the weight that was lost being lean mass. Lean mass does encompass quite a few things. So you've got muscle mass, bone tissue, water weight, all within that. But there's another thing that probably a lot of people don't look into is water fasting. So when you do water fasting, you can lose up to 60-65% in lean mass, but it's not as looked at in as bad of a light. But the point that I think he will make, I'll let him go on first and see if he makes the same point that I'm going to make.
And muscle is where your metabolism is. It burns 7 times the calories as fat, and you need it for longevity and health. And
so in terms of, he hasn't actually made this point, but a lot of the people who tend to take these medications don't tend to be active by nature. So one way which you can preserve muscle mass is by increasing the amount of protein intake, which with these medications stopping you from having any appetite, you are going to reduce that consumption. And then the other trigger for muscle protein synthesis is resistance training, ideally 3 times a week, which, like I've said, this cohort of patients don't tend to do that, and they are going to feel the effects of lean mass a lot more.
When you lose muscle, your whole health declines. It's the center of your health, and it's very tough to get that back. So you have to really increase protein, and you have to hit the gym hard with weights if you're going to be on a drug like Ozempic.
So in terms of proportionality of weight loss, that can actually be a bigger detriment. So if you are losing a lot of weight, but a lot of it is lean mass, like he's just alluded to, lean mass tends to be metabolically active. So in terms of a diabetic patient, for example, they require a lot of muscle to store a lot of glucose. Now, if you are losing from a water fast, for example, or even just this GLP-1, 40% of your weight loss being lean mass, you are losing a big reservoir for glucose. So you could actually be causing a detriment to your health in one instance. And it's one of them things in medicine where you have to weigh up the benefits and risks. In this instance, a lot of the patients who are on Ozempic, Mounjaro, etc., have a very high body weight, and they should reduce that drastically. That will be the best interest for them. But a lot of the uses of Mounjaro, Ozempic at the moment is more aesthetic, so them actually losing a lot of muscle mass is not going to be beneficial to them just to look good, because their functionality is going to decline going forward. But this was an interesting video. I agree with a lot of the things, except maybe a couple of the numbers, which are going to become more apparent in the future years, because as we know, more and more people are taking the medication. So then we've got a lot of post-marketing surveillance, but it is the most abundant medication on the market where people are happy to take without fully knowing its true effects. And the biggest thing for me is it boils down to just adapt your lifestyle in the easiest ways. And then, because this mainly works as an appetite suppressant, so if you modify it as you would naturally, then you're going to get a very similar benefit. Obviously, it's going to take a lot more effort, but I just think it's important to point out that these things can be managed without the use of pharmacotherapy at this point in your life. Now, if you've got this far, thanks for watching. If there's any other videos that you recommend I react to and give my opinion, obviously I will always discuss the science where I can and give anecdotal evidence if it need be. But like I said, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.